day, dear learners. Welcome to today's social studies class. Our topic for today is life in our early communities, the herders. To start off, let's look at this picture. What do you see? I see a woman and a child. But look at how this woman is dressed. Look at her braids. Look at the color of her skin. Can you guess what tribe this woman and her baby belong to? Yes, they belong to the Ovahimba tribe, which are a group that are also called herders for what they do. Now, who are the herders? Remember the last class we learned about the San people being hunters and gatherers. Today we'll learn about the herders. The herders were the second group to arrive in Namibia after the San. Some groups of herders were the Khoikhoi, the Ovahimba, like you saw in the picture, the Ovabanderu, the Ovaherero, and the Ovathemba. So, all of these are examples of herders. Who are the herders? Herders were people who tamed animals such as goat, sheep, and cattle. What is taming, you may ask? Taming is when you change something's behavior to do a certain thing for you or to act a certain way. Just like how, for example, cows don't attack us, we can milk them. They can help us with agriculture in the farms and other stuff as well. And dogs. Dogs don't bite us. The ones that are close to home, they act well. Unless they are sick or something, but they really don't act like the ones in the wild. The ones in the wild, if they see you, they will eat you up. So these herders were able to tame the animals, to make them change their wild behavior so that they can be closer to them and they can use them for things at home at the farm, or they can use them for meat. They stayed in places where their cattle could eat the grass. This is called grazing. The process of cattle eating grass at a specific place is called grazing. Now, what happened when they were at this place and the grass finished? After all the grass finished at the place they were staying at the time, they would move their camps to the next grazing place. Mind you, their houses had to be very, very easy to move and easy to build up, because if they put their cattle in a certain place and the grass there in that place finishes in a month, then they would have to bring their houses down and put their houses somewhere else so that they could wash their cattle. And moving was very important because cattle need to eat in order to survive. Just like we eat the food every day in order to survive, cattle also need grass in order to survive. Both men and women look after the cattle. So it was not only a man's job, even women did the same. Especially milking the cows, seeing if the cattle are healthy, and other things were jobs done by the women as well. The women, apart from taking care of the cattle, made huts and clay from animal dung. Do you know what animal dung is? Have you ever seen a cow pooping? Yes, the poop is what is called animal dung and clay. So what they would do, they would either use the cattle poop, the cattle dung, or they would use the clay. Have you ever seen clay? If you go nearby the river, you see a dark, very dark form of sand and it's wet and you can even play with it and maybe even make a toy out of it, that is clay. Or they would also use grass, not this grass, small grass that you see cattle eating, but those long ones, the thatch that are used to make houses. So they would either use this animal poop, or they would use clay, or they would use grass to make the houses. Now, the Herero people didn't only eat domesticated animals, tamed animals. Men also hunted some wild animals such as rabbit and small other creatures that they could find near them. They would hunt, they would cook, and they would eat. Women collected wild food and milked the cows, like I mentioned. Wild food is those fruits and how can I say, those fruits that you find in the wild, like maguni. Yes, like the maguni in English is wild orange, and the matu, and what else? I can think the nombe, and the fruits that grow just there in the wild. Nobody really plants them, but you find them. Those are wild food. Both women and men made their clothes from animal skin and bone. So they, at that time when they came, there were no shops with the clothes Miss Luango and you are wearing. So what they did is, after killing that animal, after killing that cow, they would take the skin, they would clean it nicely, and then they would make the clothes out of that. They would also use some of the animal bones either to make ornaments, necklaces and stuff, or other things that they wear. They made their tools and weapons from clay, wood, skin and bones. The tools that they used to hunt animals, to clean the animals, the weapons and others were used from clay, wood, skin and bones. Now let's take a look at this picture. Observe it nicely. Let's discuss it a bit. We can see everything that we have discussed previously. We can see how the woman is busy making the house there with the men. You can see that they're using clay on top, and underneath it looks like animal dung from the cattle. You can see how easy their houses are to build up. You can see how this woman is making the house out of thatch. You can see the tools that they were using made out of wood, and you can see also the pegs and clothing that they were using made of animal skin. So this picture shows us a bit of their lifestyle, the lifestyle that they had. We can also see the cattle that they were heading. This picture shows us give us a complete idea of how the herders lived at that time. I'm not saying that these are the Ovahimbas. They could be Khoi, they could be Banderu, but their living styles in general were just the same. Now let's talk a little bit about herders today. Today life has changed. Herding areas are smaller. Why are they smaller? Rundu is getting bigger. Windhoek is getting bigger. Grootfontein is increasing as well, and other towns. So the places that were used for grazing, for cattle to eat the grass, are now becoming smaller because urbanization, the towns, they are increasing. They are becoming bigger and bigger. So their lifestyle is not the same. Some herders were forced to live a more urban lifestyle, and most hereros, like you see today, we don't see most hereros in animal skin anymore, although there are some that still put the animal skin clothing, but most heteros dress like just you and me. You are probably a hetero and you buy your clothes from the store. That's a slight change in how they were before and how they are now. Although you may still practice your culture and you love being a hetero, it's a bit different now. You'll maybe just wear your skin clothing maybe on Independence Day or maybe a cultural activity that you have with your family because you can buy the clothes from the store and you are living in town. But there are still some of Ahimba cattle headers in the Kunene, sorry, the mispronunciation of this, it's Kunene region, continuing with their lifestyle. Sometimes they come to town and you see how they are dressed. Those people are still continuing with how they were 100 or 200 years ago. In fact, the first picture I showed you is a very recent one, maybe of last year. So there are people that are still wearing like that. They are still continuing with their culture. I hope you enjoyed the class. I hope you understood. If you have any questions, please text me or call me. I'll drop the summary under this video.